some of y'all ain't gonna like this, but I'm gonna tell you anyway, because sometimes you need a little tough love. Now, there are actually a number of things that can cause and worsen your hyperpigmentation, but in this video, specifically in this video, we're gonna be talking about how your hair removal methods are jacking up your skin. You know, particularly around the jaw area, if you've noticed that you got a lot of hyperpigmentation and whatnot going on down here, you especially want to watch this video. In a hierarchy of things that cause hyperpigmentation, I would say that improper hair removal, it might kind of be up there on the list. So what do? Keep watching. There are a number of things that cause hyperpigmentation, which, if you are new here, hyperpigmentation is when your melanocytes, you know, the cells that produce the melanin, you know, sometimes they get a little shook, and sometimes they get a lot of shook by trauma, right? And they start to overproduce melanin because they shook. And that essentially causes the dark spots that you see on your face and your body. Now, what is trauma? I'm gonna tell you. It is included but not limited to acne, friction, you know, your skin rubbing up against each other, especially in between the thighs, underneath your arms, on the bootay, burns, bites, whether they come from an insect, an animal, or special someone, sun exposure, dry skin, yep, your ashy can lead to hyperpigmentation, improper hair removal. Now, we are going to be focusing on the hair removal part for this video, which, you know, I've said a couple times because I just want to drive that point home. But there are 2 playlists on this channel that will arm you with the information that you need for other causes of hyperpigmentation, such as acne and the like, and I will link those above and below in the description box for your viewing pleasure. Now, why does hair removal cause hyperpigmentation? And one of your fave methods, plucking, is likely the culprit behind a lot of your hyperpigmentation, especially in this area here where you just want to pluck, 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 pluck. When you tweeze, you're pulling the hair out in a way that can be traumatic for the skin, and you know them punk ass melanocytes is up in there like, oh my god, and they're overproducing melanin, so, you know, chill. And unfortunately, at-home waxing of the face can have a similar effect, whether it's the way that the hair is being pulled out, or maybe you're having a reaction to the wax itself. So what the heck are we supposed to do? Just grow a beard? Now I'm gonna give you some alternate methods of removing your hair that are less traumatic on the skin. Now, your best bet is to have the hair removed with a Skin of Color pro, someone with receipts, long receipts, that they know what they're doing when it comes to skin of color. Now, that person will help you determine the best hair removal method for you, and those methods may include laser hair removal. Now, I've been doing this myself, and many dermatologists agree that this is probably one of the better methods for removing unwanted facial and body hair, but you have to do it with the right laser and the right person who knows how to finesse that laser. Otherwise, you can get jacked up. Now, lasers for skin of color have come a long way. Back in the day, lasers wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the pigment in the skin and the pigment in the hair, which, if you can imagine, can cause a lot of mess, hyperpigmentation, keloids, and just drama all up and through. Lasers made for darker skin are better able to tell that difference, but they still are going to require the skilled hand and expertise of someone who knows what they're doing with it, with our skin. For instance, simply having access to the 1064 laser that's typically used for darker skin, that's not enough. You need to be skilled, because when it comes time for that frequency to be increased, you don't want to get jacked up and burned. Now, pricing. Laser hair removal pricing varies. It depends on where you go, where you're getting it, who you go to, where you live. There's a lot of factors that go into it, but I got some pricing for you so you can get an idea. So when I got laser hair removal, I went to my dermatologist, Dr. Michelle Henry, but I did put in a call to Laser Away specifically for this video, specifically for you. Now they done rang down my phone, my text, my email, and stuff like that, and hopefully they don't hound me down for inquiring about what their prices are. So I actually called called a Laser Away location here in Queens. They're currently running a promo. So a little bit about Laser Away. You're gonna get treated by nurses. It's a medical facility from what the person on the phone told me. If you wanna find out more, of course, you know, it's just a Google away. So at Laser Away, you can either pay per session or you can buy a package. So for the face, they say that it can take about 10 sessions. If you buy those 10 sessions individually, it's gonna cost you $3,049. But if you buy one of their packages, that's gonna cost you $2,094. So almost $1,000 less. They said it usually works out that you need 8 sessions for the face and then there's 2 touch-ups. So laser hair removal helps to reduce the amount of hair that is growing in. It's typically not a permanent situation. Now you'll start to see a reduction in the hair growth, you know, sometimes even as early as your 2nd or 3rd session. But what happens is after your 8 to 10, or if you need a couple more sessions, a few years later, sometimes it's 2 years, sometimes it's 5 years, you know, everyone's different. You may see a few hairs come back and then they'll give you another session with the laser hair and you're good. So the person I spoke to at Laser Away said that everyone has experience with skin of color. Now, that's easier for me to believe for a location in New York City because there's a bunch of us out here. But if you live in a place where there may not be that many people of color, I'm not quite sure. Definitely do your research. I personally have never had laser hair removal at Laser Away. I just picked them because it's a very popular place. It's the first one that came into mind. But if you've been to Laser Away, let us know your experience in the comments because we are a family of skincare loving folks and we want to know the tea. So they were also running a promotion for body laser hair removal. If you buy a Brazilian package, you get an underarm package for free. Now this is an 8-session package. If you were to buy those 8 sessions individually, it would cost you $3,049. But if you get the package, you'll spend $2,094, but then you can get the underarm package for free. Now, I did my facial laser hair removal with my dermatologist, Dr. Michelle Henry. Laser hair removal there starts at about $500 per session. I got a special personal discount, so I paid less. So I documented some of my experience here already on YouTube. Later on realized that I probably should have just waited until I was done because we had lockdown. I couldn't go in for a couple of sessions and so much drama. I had a little bit of a setback when I changed birth control, which, you know, more hair came out. So I'll have an update when I feel like okay, I'm at a point where I can be like, all right, here's my final update at that point. If you have gray hair though, this may not be an option for you. So let's talk about some other pro options. So waxing is something that you're probably very familiar with. Typically it's going to be less expensive than laser hair removal, and I say typically because you know, maybe over the course of your lifetime of going waxing, maybe that might add up to more than the laser hair. But waxing is an option for some people because not everyone can get laser hair removal. The price range for waxing can vary. You're talking maybe about $12 to $15 for something like your eyebrow to maybe $60 or more for a bikini wax. Another option, electrolysis. Now there are different types, but essentially this is where a shortwave radio is used to target the hair follicle itself and not the hair pigment. It can take 15 to 30 sessions, really depends, varies from person to person. I was trying to find a good range, but the cost that I found was about $50 to $125 per session. Now from the info I've obtained from pros that I know over the years, electrolysis is an option if you don't have a ton of hairs to remove, if you're not a candidate for laser hair removal, or if you have gray hair because, you know, the laser hair removal is unable to detect the gray hair because there's no pigment there. I chose to do laser hair removal versus electrolysis because I had a lot of hair, you know, there's a bunch of hairs up in there, and I was like, yeah, let me just go ahead with the laser hair removal. But Dr. Michelle mentioned that if over the course of my laser hair removal treatment, I have a couple of little straggly hairs that are just like, hell no, we won't go, that we can do electrolysis to kind of get rid of those few hairs. Another option that you can get from a pro, and this isn't per se a hair removal method, but dermaplaning, which is a treatment where they use a blade. Now the blades are quite different from the blades that you would have at home, but they're using a blade to gently remove the top layers of the skin. This is typically something that helps to exfoliate the skin, to help give the skin a gorgeous glow. But in the act of doing that, removing those dead skin cells, you also remove some peach fuzz. So dermaplaning is about $150 to $200 per treatment. Again, it can vary vary depending on where you live. And sometimes it's also accompanied by other facial treatments when you see your esthetician. So let's talk about some at-home options. Now listen carefully, because the at-home options is where a lot of y'all get jacked up. But some of the better at-home options include shaving and some depilatory creams. Now, when using a depilatory cream, just make sure that it specifically says it's for the face, if you're gonna be using it on the facial area. Now, a lot of y'all believe that shaving makes the hair grow back thicker, and that is a myth. And just listen to this clip from Dr. Alexis Stevens, board certified dermatologist. She was here on the channel and she explained why you might think that, but it's not true. So go ahead and check that out.
So this is a myth, but the reason that it exists is because think about like when you cut grass. If you cut all the grass at one time, all of the grass grows back very much so evenly, and it looks a lot thicker. That same thing is going to happen if you shave all of the hairs at the same time. They're going to grow back evenly and they appear thicker, but they are definitely not. Think that that long grass blade is very thin and tapered on the end, and so you don't notice it as much. But if you cut it short, it's much thicker, and so it feels thicker, it feels a little bit rougher. That's the same thing with the hair follicle. It's really thin on the ends, and so you don't notice those as much. Complete myth, doesn't happen, but does feel a little bit differently as they're all growing in together.
Now, while any of these methods can cause some sort of reaction in someone that can lead to inflammation, that can lead to hyperpigmentation, these are the safer routes that you can go to remove your facial hair at home. Now, me, myself, personally, I would not be using a tweezer or any of those at-home facial waxing kits for my face. That's just not my ministry, because the likelihood of something triggering your skin, causing inflammation that can lead to hyperpigmentation, it ticks up a bit when you go those methods. And what about at-home laser hair removal devices, you may say? Now, there are some that are made for people with deeper skin and deeper hair pigment colors, but the frequency that they have to keep those machines at for you to use them safely at home might not be enough for it to really be effective for you. So to me, some of those devices are really expensive. I mean, albeit they're less expensive than if you got laser hair removal. But to me, it would be a waste of money. I'd rather save up my money and be able to get the proper treatment than to, waste my money on something that's just gonna make me mad. Now remember, the less you remove the hair, the less the chances are of you causing something that can cause hyperpigmentation. Leaving the hair alone is also an option for some people. Now, I know folks probably ran up on me and saw some chin hairs and some mustache, but to those people, why were you so close? Now, some methods of hair removal can lead you to be more prone to ingrown hairs, especially since our hair is coily, and instead of growing up and out, it can sometimes kind of get stuck in the skin and can cause some issues. You're gonna wanna gently exfoliate, because that's going to help to reduce the amount of the ingrown hair. And if you have the ingrown hair and you're like, well, how do I get rid of this thing? Dr. Alexis Stevens has a video. I can't remember if it's on her YouTube or if it's on her TikTok, but I will try to find it and link it below so you can check it out. Now, stay tuned, because depending on how well this video is received, depending on how it performs, I might have some more hair removal videos for Skin of Color for you down the line. So if you're interested, make sure you watch, you share, you comment, because your participation just makes this a better channel. So which method of hair removal do you use, or would you consider using after watching this video? Get all chitty chatty in the comments and let me know. Follow me on social, the links will be in the description box, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.